The international hiatus is finally over and it's back to a weekend of hopefully waterlogged pitch-free Premier League action. Joining me with tips and tactics for the big games is Mark Langdon of the Racing Post and Sportspread's prodigal son, Reuters' Owen Wyatt, making a much anticipated return. Gents, thanks for joining us once again. Owen, let's kick off with the Saturday's early kick-off. Spurs against Chelsea, of course, the return of Andre Villas-Boas, if I get the pronunciation right.
Pretty good, Nigel. Pretty good.
Now, they beat Man United for the first time since 1999.
Yep.
A win against the club that sacked him could be pretty pivotal.
There's nothing in sport like a point to prove, is there? And I think Villas-Boas had
he's got one, hasn't he?
He had a few doubters at the beginning of the season, but he's shown just such a level of passion and intensity over the last few games. I love watching Spurs and him on the sideline. It's fantastic stuff. And I'm a big fan of the signings he made. I think Dembele was one of the best buys of the summer. He was fantastic for Fulham on the ball, and I was surprised he didn't go to a Champions League club, a City or a United in the summer. Brilliant signing. Dempsey as well, been a long-term fan of him. He did a fantastic job at Fulham, was their most consistent player for a long time. He's got a point to prove himself. He wants to get Champions League football. I fancy Spurs over Chelsea 2-1.
OK, Mark, Chelsea off to a flyer again, but with a sort of new look team. What's Di Matteo doing that AVB didn't do?
Well, I think he's trusting the older players still. I mean, obviously, I think as far as Villas-Boas went, he tried to change things. I think he'd admit himself, he tried to do things too quickly there. It kind of went wrong for him early on, and that's not happened to him in his entire managerial career. He's brilliant at Porto, and so when he had that sticky start, he didn't know how to deal with it, and he was too stuck in his ways, I think, and you know. I don't really think Chelsea are doing that much differently, though, in terms of playing style. Obviously, with Oscar and Eden Hazard and Juan Mata, there is a bit more flair than perhaps when Villas-Boas was there, and he wanted those players all the time. But Abramovich didn't sort of sanction the deals. I just don't think that Chelsea are playing quite as well as their league record suggests at the moment, top of the table. But I do think certainly drop points are in the offing here. I could see this being a 1-1 draw, actually. I don't fancy Chelsea to win.
In terms of what the bookies are doing, where's the smart money going?
Well, it's very tight. You can barely sort of put a paper between them. It's 6-4 each of two, basically. So the bookmakers can't pick a favourite in this game. Chelsea have not won on their last 6 visits to White Hart Lane. Last 2 have been draws. So I think we could be in for another stalemate.
OK, so we know what Owen thinks. We think Tottenham win. Another big derby game in the northeast, a feisty affair, this one at the best of times. Handbags at dawn between Martin O'Neill and Alan Pardew back in March when it was Newcastle-Sunderland. Some of last season's shine come off for both of these two, hasn't it? How do you see this one going?
I fancy Sunderland in this one, and I think you're right, a lot of the shine has come off Newcastle. I think the thing with Newcastle last season was people didn't know how to play them. They were a completely new outfit, really, a lot of new players. They hadn't done their homework.
And it gelled for whatever reason.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah. And they were building from the back, very solid defensively, and it worked for them. But now people have got their number, and it's not going to be as good season as last time out. Plus, they've got the Europa League to deal with, which is never fun.
No, it's not. No. I think there is certainly something to be said for teams that are in the Europa League first time, or any European competition first time up. That sort of playing Thursday, then Sunday, then another midweek game in a League Cup or something like that. It does take it out of you. There's no doubt about it.
And all the Wearside pubs are applying for early licences. So who do you think is going to be celebrating come?
Well, I'm looking at the first goal scorer market here because I think we can really narrow it down. Stephen Fletcher, the only player to have scored a Premier League goal for Sunderland this season. Newcastle have only got a couple of players that have scored for them, Demba Ba and Hatem Ben Arfa. So I think if you're looking at it, there's a real narrow shortlist of actual first goal scorer contenders. I quite like Demba Ba to score first. I think he's somebody at the start of last season was brilliant, then tailed off, and Papi Cisse became the star man. Demba Ba, he's worked over the summer. Although they're both Senegalese, they're not the best of friends apparently. So I think there is a rivalry between the two. And Demba Ba didn't like that his shine had been taken off. So I'm backing him to score the first goal actually in that one.
OK, finally then to the team that might have taken the crown from Newcastle from last season, West Brom playing Man City. I'm pretty sure you said they were a dead cert, West Brom, for relegation this season. So I'm enjoying this one while I
don't remember that. You're going to have to dig out. This is one where you're going to have to dig out the tape because I don't remember that. Okay. I remember saying Liverpool and Villa are more likely to face a relegation battle than they are to get in the Champions League.
Well,
I don't remember saying anything about West Brom.
But OK, so this is quite pivotal at the top of the table. If Chelsea don't win, Man City do, then it all moves around. I'm told you won an accumulator
That's right.
The weekend. So where do you put your money on this one?
This one I'm going City win, no upset, and I could, if I was going for a scoreline, I'd say 3-1 City. I just don't see West Brom, posing a threat here. And it's time. City haven't really clicked into top gear yet this season. I think this could be the game that they do it.
I have a nasty feeling you might be right, so I'm not going to go any further than that. Tevez, Aguero travelling a long way back from World Cup stuff. David Silva limping off in Spain's game against France. Is there any temptation to go against the champions?
I'm disagreeing with you, sir. I think that there is an opportunity to lay Manchester City at odds on. I'm looking at it and thinking, would I back Manchester City to win this game more than 50% of the time? And I'm not sure I would, given that, like you've mentioned there, the international break. I think that hampers City far more than what it does West Brom. Aguero's played 2 games, travelled thousands of miles. Then you're having a look, Balotelli played in midweek for a 10-man Italy. Zabaleta, he was with Argentina. A lot of players, and West Brom haven't got quite the same. And also, of course, Manchester City got a massive game on Wednesday in Amsterdam against Ajax. That is must win in the Champions League. So I'm looking at it thinking last year City had their troubles away from home. Even this year, couldn't beat Stoke, needed a late goal to beat Fulham. Yes, they're the better team on paper, and I think that most people will be backing them to win.
Back them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I just think away from home, odds on, and given that West Brom have won all of their Premier League games, I'm as surprised as anybody that they're riding so high.
Do you know what? I think the Oracle's just talked me around there. I think I'm now sold on West Brom. I'm doing a U-turn. That's it. I'm not going to argue with that.
I just can't trust Manchester City at odds on. I think those people that like to play accumulators, if you're looking to put a few favourites in, they're one team I would certainly leave out on Saturday.
Okay, well that's pleasant listening from where I'm sitting. Gents, thanks very much indeed for that. That is it for another Sports Spread. Next week, another set of cracking ties, including Chelsea, Man United and Everton, Liverpool. I'm Nigel Stevenson. This is Reuters.